For months, my boyfriend's favorite new phrase was, "It's just a joke," every time he publicly humiliated me. When he kissed his ex-girlfriend at a party while his friends filmed my reaction for fun, I decided the jokes were over. He thought I'd come crawling back like always, but he had no idea I was about to use his own words and actions to orchestrate his complete social destruction. The shift happened about 3 months back, when "it's just a joke" became Malcolm's get-out-of-jail-free card for cruelty. The new pattern emerged in September, right after I gently asked him to tone down the flirting with other women at parties. He threw his head back and laughed, then turned to his loyal crew, Dean, Randall, and Curtis, and announced that I was clearly obsessed with him. They all roared with laughter, and from that moment on, a new narrative was born. I became the designated, clingy girlfriend, the punchline to their endless inside jokes. Emboldened by his friends' validation, Malcolm started to systematically dismantle my boundaries. He'd make a spectacle of dancing provocatively with other girls at bars, always making sure to lock eyes with me and offer a condescending wink from across the room. He began casually giving his phone number to random women, literally right in front of me. When I tried to confront him in private later, he'd perfect this look of weary disappointment, shaking his head as if I were a child having a tantrum over normal social interaction. And his friends, like a well-rehearsed chorus, supported him every single time. The situation detonated at Curtis's birthday party last weekend. Malcolm's ex, Sabrina, arrived, poured into a tight red dress that was practically a declaration of war. He had been getting messages from her for weeks, but he'd sworn to me they were just being amicable. I stood there and watched her run her fingers up his bicep as she spoke to him, her touch lingering far too long. Malcolm kept glancing over at me, a smug, challenging smirk on his face. In my periphery, I saw Dean and Randall take their positions, phones already raised, ready to capture the drama. The house was swarming with people from our college, a built-in audience for the performance to come. Malcolm had been drinking nonstop since we got there, and he started buying Sabrina drink after drink, creating a tight bubble around them that I was pointedly excluded from. Any attempt I made to join their conversation was met with him physically turning his back on me or abruptly changing the subject. Then, around 11 p.m., Malcolm grabbed Sabrina by the waist and yanked her against him. He kissed her. It wasn't a peck, it was a deep, invasive kiss, his hands gripping her hips, lasting for at least 30 seconds. Dean and Randall immediately began to chant, their voices cutting through the party noise as they aimed their cameras directly at me. "She deserved it. She deserved it," they yelled. Heads turned. People stared. Some of them laughed. Malcolm finally pulled away from Sabrina, his eyes finding mine across the room. "It's just a joke, babe," he shouted, grinning from ear to ear. Sabrina just giggled and whispered something that made him squeeze her waist again. I turned and walked toward the door, a silent path parting for me through the crowd of gawking onlookers. My phone started buzzing relentlessly before I even made it to my car, a flood of messages from Malcolm. By the time I got home, there were 15. "You're ruining my night. Come back right now and apologize to Sabrina. Everyone at this party thinks you're completely psycho now." This is exactly why guys don't want serious girlfriends. Learn to take a harmless joke for once in your life. I got home and turned my phone off completely. The next morning, I saw his Instagram stories, posted between midnight and 3 a.m. It was a highlight reel of his newfound freedom. Clips of him grinding on random girls, each captioned with some variation of, "This is what happens when you try to control me." The finale showed him doing shots with 3 different women, captioned "Single life hits different," with Dean, Randall, and Curtis tagged in every post. Then, at 3 a.m. that morning, he was at my apartment building, pounding on the front door for 5 solid minutes, screaming my name. When I finally opened it, the stench of alcohol, cigarettes, and a cocktail of different perfumes hit me like a physical blow. "You're a psycho, girlfriend," he slurred, swaying in the doorway. "Every guy cheats on their girl eventually. At least I did it to your face instead of sneaking around like some coward." When I told him to leave, he just laughed. "You'll forgive me by Tuesday, like you always do," he said with absolute certainty. "Remember when I made out with your sister's friend at Christmas?" You got over that real quick. Then he stumbled away. On Monday, a private message from Dean arrived. You're way too uptight. Malcolm was teaching you an important lesson about trust. You should be grateful he cares enough to help you grow. I read it, and a cold resolve settled in my bones. 20 minutes later, a message from Celeste, Curtis's girlfriend, came through. She'd seen their group chat and forwarded me 23 screenshots. It was all there, Malcolm bragging about putting me in my place. She'll come crawling back like always, he wrote. They all do when you show them who's really the boss. Randall had replied with crying laughing emojis. Curtis wrote, savage move, bro. Dean added, she definitely needed that reality check. Malcolm had even sent a shirtless selfie from bed, captioned, single life is treating me incredibly well already. He thinks he knows me. He thinks I'm still the same girl who would blame herself for his cruelty. He's out there now, celebrating his victory, completely unaware of the war that is about to be waged. He has no idea what's coming for him. So, Malcolm's prophetic Tuesday, the day I was supposed to come crawling back, passed in utter silence. I didn't call, I didn't text, I didn't even look at his social media. This absolute void of a reaction seemed to short-circuit his entire brain. By Wednesday morning, my phone was a digital crime scene, 17 missed calls and 43 text messages. The messages started with his signature condescension. Hey babe, you're being really immature about this whole thing, but quickly devolved into frantic desperation. I know you're reading these messages. Why are you ignoring me when I'm trying to fix this? By Thursday, he was having a full-blown textual meltdown. I can't believe you're actually going to throw away 2 years over one harmless joke. Sabrina meant absolutely nothing to me. I was drunk, and my friends were egging me on. You know how they get. He just kept hammering on that one word, joke. As if a premeditated public humiliation was a hilarious prank that I was simply too dull to appreciate. The sheer audacity of it was breathtaking. Friday afternoon, he escalated his campaign by showing up at my office. My co-worker Miranda found me in the break room, telling me some agitated-looking guy was in the lobby demanding to see me. I peeked around the corner, and there he was, pacing like a caged animal. The moment he saw me, his face lit up with a triumphant relief, as if my very presence was a white flag of surrender. Thank God, he said, rushing toward me. I've been trying to reach you for days. We need to talk about this situation. I told him we could talk right there, seeing as he had no problem making our relationship a public spectacle. His expression soured instantly. Don't be like this, he said, his voice dropping. You're being really unfair. I came here to apologize. I asked him what, specifically, he was sorry for. And I swear, this man looked me in the eye and said he was sorry that I misunderstood his joke and got my feelings hurt. Not sorry for kissing his ex. Not sorry for the humiliation. Sorry that I was too sensitive to get his brand of humor. I told him his apology was noted and he could go. He got louder then, drawing the attention of half the office. Every couple goes through stuff like this. It's called growing together. He noticed the stares and lowered his voice, stepping closer to whisper that he wasn't leaving until we resolved this. That's when it clicked. He genuinely believed, with every fiber of his being, that I would eventually cave. The old me would have been mortified, would have agreed to a private conversation just to end the scene. But the girl who read those group chat screenshots, the one who saw him bragging about how I'd come crawling back, was gone. I told him, clearly and calmly, that we were done. His face was a rapid-fire slideshow of emotions, confusion, disbelief, anger, and finally, a bizarre, fake laugh.
You don't mean that, he said.
You're just upset. You can't throw away 2 years over something this stupid. I explained that what he did wasn't stupid. It was a deliberate act of cruelty. That his messages proved his contempt for me. That his drunken 3 a.m. visit wasn't romantic. It was frightening. He got defensive instantly, dismissing the group chat as stupid stuff guys say to impress each other. But when I mentioned feeling scared, he actually rolled his eyes. Come on, you know I would never hurt you. Stop being so dramatic. His complete dismissal of my fear was the final, irrefutable piece of evidence. This man would never respect me. I turned and walked away from him. My sister Celeste called me later. Malcolm had tried to recruit her to talk some sense into me, feeding her a fabricated story where he was the victim of my controlling jealousy. But Celeste was at the party. She saw it all. She told him what he did was a disgusting public humiliation, and that if he ever tried to manipulate our family again, he would regret it. He, of course, accused her of enabling my dramatic behavior. Then he went after his own mother. I woke up to a text from her asking for coffee to work things out. His master plan was clear. He was mobilizing an army of our family members to pressure me into submission. He thinks I'll crack. What he doesn't understand is that I'm not that girl anymore. I've been planning something, too. He wants to play games and involve other people?
Perfect.
We can play. But he's not going to like my version. Malcolm's scheme to weaponize our families against me went into overdrive. On Saturday, my mom called me from Target, her voice tight with worry. She'd just gotten off the phone with Malcolm's mother, who had spun a tale about me having a mental health crisis and shutting him out. I gave my mom the full, unvarnished truth. Furious, my mom called his mother back, putting the call on speaker for me to hear. Malcolm's mom began with a performance of deep concern for my emotional state, but my mom cut her off, detailing the public humiliation, the kiss, the filming. After a long silence, his mom said, "That's not the story Malcolm told us," and proceeded to share his fiction. I had an irrational breakdown over a friendly hug, and his friends were laughing at my overreaction. My mom asked if she truly believed her son was incapable of lying. "I trust my son," she replied. My mom lost it, telling her that any mother who defends her son kissing another woman in front of his girlfriend clearly failed in raising him to respect women. His mom hung up. The next day, Malcolm appeared at my parents' house to speak with my dad man to man. He told my father that I'd been struggling with severe jealousy and control issues, and that the party was just the breaking point. He positioned himself as a loving, patient boyfriend willing to do anything, even counseling, to help me through my insecurities. He then asked my dad to talk to me, to convince me to give him another chance. My dad, still not knowing the full story, told him he'd consider it. I drove straight over and laid out the entire ugly saga for both my parents, finishing by showing them the screenshots from the group chat where Malcolm called me a psycho and bragged about how I'd come crawling back. My dad's face turned to stone. He called Malcolm immediately on speaker. When confronted about the messages, Malcolm tried to dismiss them as meaningless guy talk. He claimed the kiss was just a quick, friendly peck. My dad then asked him why he'd lied to his face. Malcolm's excuse was that he was trying to protect my reputation by hiding my overreaction from my parents. My dad finally unleashed on him, telling him that lying to manipulate a daughter through her parents is the act of a coward and that he was never to set foot on their property again. That night, from 2 a.m. to 6 a.m., I received 31 increasingly unhinged texts from Malcolm. They started with him blaming me. "Your parents have turned against me now thanks to your lies," and spiraled into a dark vortex of self-pity and veiled threats. 2 years of my life completely wasted because you can't forgive one mistake. I don't even recognize who you've become. He showed up on their porch again, refusing to leave. I went over and found him there. He launched into another tirade about how everyone was misjudging him, that the kiss was just drunken stupidity. He was still refusing to take full responsibility. It was always a mistake, always one bad night, never an admission of his intent to hurt me. My dad came out and ordered him to leave. Malcolm actually argued, saying my dad was interfering. My dad told him he made it his business when he showed up at his house with a fistful of lies. As he finally left, he looked at me and said, "This isn't over. You'll realize you're throwing away the best thing that ever happened to you." He genuinely believes he is the victim here. He thinks I'm the one destroying everything. What he doesn't know is that I've been building a trap this whole time. And after this week, I am more motivated than ever to make sure he walks right into it. I knew Malcolm's fatal flaw was his ego. He is pathologically incapable of resisting an opportunity to brag, to document his perceived power over women. I knew, with absolute certainty, that he would have saved the videos from that party. On Thursday, I texted him, proposing a meeting for closure. He replied in seconds, suggesting the coffee shop where we had our first date. I countered, suggesting his apartment for more privacy. He agreed instantly, no doubt picturing my tearful return. I arrived at his place on Saturday. He had cleaned, showered, and was playing the part of the concerned ex. I told him I wanted to understand his perspective, that perhaps I had overreacted. His face lit up. He launched into a story of peer pressure and alcohol, a narrative in which he was the unfortunate, misguided protagonist. He then dropped a bombshell. The entire thing was a premeditated setup. Dean had invited Sabrina to the party with the express purpose of provoking a reaction out of me for their amusement. I feigned shock, asking why he would participate in a plan designed to humiliate me. He claimed he was drunk and felt trapped between disappointing me and disappointing his friends. I told him I was starting to understand, and then I set the hook. I said I needed to explain what happened to my friends, and to do it accurately, I needed to see it from his point of view. "Do you still have any videos from that night?" I asked. He hesitated, then admitted he did. I asked if we could watch them together so I could fully grasp his experience. He reluctantly agreed. He opened his phone's gallery, and there they were, a collection of clips far more damning than I could have imagined. There were videos of him dancing with other women while his friends could be heard in the background, testing her limits. There was a clip of him groping Sabrina while staring directly at me. And then the kiss video, with the chanting and my own shattered expression visible in the background. But there was a new video, one I hadn't seen. It was taken after I had left. Malcolm had Sabrina pressed against a wall, his hands up her dress, kissing her again, more intensely this time. Randall was filming, saying, "Post this, she needs to see what she's missing." As we watched, Malcolm offered a pathetic running commentary of excuses. "It looks worse than it felt." I was so drunk. After the last clip, I looked him in the eye and told him that what I saw wasn't a mistake. It was calculated, deliberate cruelty. He immediately started to backtrack, claiming I was misinterpreting the context. That's when I held up my own phone, which had been recording our entire 2-hour conversation. Every word of his confession about the setup. Every pathetic attempt to minimize his actions. His face turned the color of ash. He sputtered about me recording him, without his consent. I calmly reminded him that we live in a one-party consent state. I told him that his recorded confession, combined with his own video evidence, painted a very clear picture, one I was sure both our families would be interested in seeing. He started to panic, asking what I was going to do. I opened a group text I had already prepared, addressed to both my parents and his. The message explained that the party incident was a planned humiliation and that I had his recorded confession and video proof. I attached the kiss video, the groping video, and the audio clip of him admitting it was a setup by Dean. He lunged for my phone, begging me not to send it, pleading that his parents would kill him. I told him he should have considered that before he decided my pain was a source of entertainment. Then I hit send. My phone instantly buzzed with replies. "My mom, I'm so sorry, sweetheart. We're on our way. My dad, that piece of trash is dead to us." But the replies from his parents were the sweetest victory. His mom, "Malcolm, come home immediately." His dad, "I am disgusted by what I just watched. You are not the son we raised." He completely imploded, begging me to call them back, to tell them it was fake. I told him this was the consequence of his choices. He started getting angry, threatening to tell everyone I was a manipulative psycho who records private conversations. I just laughed. "They already know exactly who we both are," I said. "The videos speak for themselves." As I left, I told him this was the last time we would ever speak, and that any further contact would result in harassment charges. The drive home was a victory lap. I felt powerful, finally in control. My parents were waiting for me, full of apologies for ever doubting the situation. Later that night, Celeste sent me screenshots from the group chat. The truth was out, and it was spreading like wildfire. Malcolm has gone completely silent online. The beautiful part is, I didn't have to lie or cheat. I simply used his own words, his own videos, his own actions against him. He built his own prison, and I just handed him the key. He wanted to put me in my place. Well, he succeeded. My place is here, free of him, and I have never felt better.